right, Anthony Georgiades, welcome to the BlockHash podcast live. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you here. You told me before we got on the podcast, but just to recap, like, where are you from?
From New York.
Cool,
Yeah,
cool. And you're currently in Los Angeles, correct?
I am. I am. There's a conference, DeFi FinTech, tomorrow that I'm speaking at on future of NFTs, Pastel, etc. So it should be good.
Yeah, how long is it? Is it like a 3 day, 3 day conference ordeal, or
It's actually just a single day conference.
okay?
I think they're keeping things, a little tighter, smaller, and just quicker duration. I think they wanted to keep this one kind of intimate as well, just given everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, is there any cool people that are going to show up or give a speech or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's a lot of really talented people that'll be there. The founder of Celsius, Alex, will be there. Richard Lee, founder of 4K. But I think everyone that's speaking there is definitely pretty impressive and obviously very inspirational and heavily contributing to the broader community and ecosystem. So it should be good.
Cool, cool. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Anyways, tell me more about yourself. I want to know a little bit more about your background. You're from New York, but from there, like, what have you done to, getting into crypto? Like, was there like a single point in time, something in particular that got you interested in the space? Did you bounce around from job to job, or what's your backstory?
Yeah, so I'm actually originally from San Diego. Went to school out in Philadelphia. Went to UPenn. Actually did the undergrad program. Went and worked in venture capital for a bit at First Round Capital. Spent some time working as a product manager on the operations side as well, and then ended up getting a degree in computer science. And part of it was just being curious and interested in just learning more, what was under the hood, what was I actually investing in, etc. And during that program is actually when I first got exposed to just blockchain in general. Um, Started actually looking into Solidity and looking at different smart contracts and whatnot. Actually helped out on the Golem project a little bit, and basically from there got very very interested in the space. Ended up helping launch Innovating Capital back in 2016, which really started off to be a broad venture fund, but I was primarily focused on the crypto side, the digital asset side, but on a broader basis we do cybersecurity, enterprise infrastructure, digital health, insurance, and fintech investing. A lot of those go hand in hand. And so over the last couple of years, back in 2018 actually, is when we came across the founding team of Pastel, and really started to invest in it, and I would say kind of quasi incubate it. And over the last 12 months or so, I've really stepped in what I would say nearly a full time capacity, just helping get the project up and running off the ground, and working as as co-founder, COO on a day to day basis.
Nice. So, like, what is Pastel Network? What are you guys trying to do there? Regarding collectibles, NFTs, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, Pastel was founded back in 2018, and the general idea has always been, to be an entirely purpose built native infrastructure for the sole use case of NFTs. So effectively, we're running our entirely, own dedicated mainnet, right? And everything about the platform from the ground up has been designed for the specific use case to actually tailor NFTs. And what I mean by that is obviously we've seen a lot of issues pervasive today, running on broader pieces of infrastructure that are well suited for what I would view as kind of general purpose applications, whether that's financial products, insurance products, even obviously a number of different kind of lending applications and things of the nature, but maybe not necessarily perfectly built for some of the specific features around NFTs itself, such as being able to actually store the underlying piece of metadata, the data structure that is obviously the actual NFT object itself. Things like being able to authenticate the file or the image itself and whatnot. So the general idea from Pastel from day one was to really build this unique infrastructure from the ground up and to kind of solve upon a lot of these problems. We see it still pervasive today, right? High
Mhm.
transaction fees, scalability constraints, obviously, the storage problems I mentioned. And so Pastel is really working to actually solve each of those problems. And where we are today is, how we've actually come to market. A lot of what we've done is designed as kind of dedicated pieces of infrastructure. So we have a number of different protocols that where a lot of different players in the ecosystem are actually building on today, and leveraging. And simultaneously, we're actually building out our own layer two marketplace that's powered entirely by the Pastel network, if that makes sense.
Got it. Are you allowing people to build and create using just Ethereum, or are you guys also using other blockchains as well?
Yeah, yeah. So, first and foremost, right, the core infrastructure itself is
Hmm.
its dedicated piece of infrastructure. But something that's very important to us, broadly speaking, is interoperability, and being able to actually interact and manage and being able to actually participate with other blockchains. So we have designed several aspects of the system, from a protocol level perspective, all the way to actually wrapping and unwrapping the underlying NFT itself, that actually interoperates with other blockchains. Right now, we've been focused on a few different smart contract design players, Ethereum and Solana in particular. But obviously, the general idea and pipeline has us being able to actually work with any and all chains.
How's it going using Solana? That one's really popular right now. Everyone's trying to use it. They claim to be like the fastest blockchain out there, or something like that. Do you agree?
It's going well. Look, I have no complaints. I love the team over there. Full disclosure, I'm an
Hmm.
investor, so definitely very very excited about what they're up to. And they've really just since day one have executed on everything that they've set out to. So it's exciting to see them kind of build out over time, but definitely going well. No complaints. Obviously, any at any point in time, and obviously at the beginning of any process, there are certain learning curves and challenges, but more than anything, it's a fun process, and you run into design implementations and things like that. But there's also a huge community of different players building out on top of them, which is really exciting. So it's great to participate with a number of different players in the space, and just obviously contribute mind share and obviously help contribute just to the broader ecosystem in general.
Do you guys have a native token as well?
We do. So the native token PSL actually powers all things on Pastel,
Okay.
right? From creating a Pastel ID to minting or registering an NFT on the native marketplace, all the way to actually running on the any underlying protocol itself, like the near duplicate detection protocol or the storage layer.
Got it. Got it. Actually saw this on your website, and I thought it'd be a good question to break down maybe into like three parts. So, like, how is Pastel, beneficial for one, for creators, for collectors, and
Mhm.
for builders, separately in those three categories?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll start backwards, going kind of from like the ground up, right?
Okay.
So from a builder's perspective, if you kind of think back to what I had mentioned, building out a lot of what I would call this kind of open ecosystem of some
Hmm.
of these protocols, right? And again, these are things that have been really purpose built, time tested since 2018, for the use case of NFTs. And why it's important is because you've had so many players come out recently, launching their own layer two marketplaces, building on top of Ethereum or other smart contract platforms, and focused on obviously user acquisition, going to market. Um, but maybe they haven't necessarily, focused, not necessarily had the time, obviously, given the fact that this has been a crazy market over the last, it's only been 6, 9, 12 months. But simultaneously, they might not also have the capability to do certain things on top of Ethereum itself. So for us, it was really important to, have this sort of open infrastructure that they could leverage directly, right? And still obviously leverage the wonderful aspects of a smart contract platform. So from our standpoint, we really are built for builders. The way we've designed every single protocol, how well documented every single API is, it's very easy to kind of integrate, plug and play in a very lightweight manner. And obviously, they can also leverage the ongoing maintenance, upgrades, etc., of the Pastel network from the internal development team itself. We've also set up an ecosystem development pool to really help contribute back to a lot of these different partners of ours, whether that's dedicating their own completely collateralized supernode itself, setting up pools that they can actually be granted X amount of PSL, so they can always actually be functioning certain of these protocols. It's really important for us to be built in a way that contributes back to these builders. And then on the flip side, from kind of a creators and collectors standpoint, when we've actually gone out to design this particular marketplace, um, it was really important for us to do it in a way that was attractive to non-crypto native users. If you look at the broader NFT ecosystem now, I would say that for a vast majority of players in the space are still very much so crypto native, and it's difficult to figure out how to buy Ethereum on your Coinbase account, then send it to MetaMask, then obviously log into OpenSea and buy an NFT, right? There's a few different barriers and points of friction. And our whole aspect of it was from day one, if we're going to design a marketplace, we want it to be, as user intuitive and friendly as entirely possible. And if you look at kind of the app online and some of the videos and whatnot, you can definitely kind of get that gauge as well, just in terms of kind of the sleek feel and just kind of the friendly onboarding process and whatnot. And then broader, from a creator collector standpoint, there's different features that we've built out, right? Being able to always promise highly negligible storage, transaction fees, etc. Anytime you actually transact on the platform, you're not necessarily going in line with, hundreds of millions of volume in a DeFi application on Ethereum, where you end up paying, call it, $60 to $100 to mint an NFT, right? On the Pastel Network, the way it's structured is, every single NFT that you register is going to be less than $1, and obviously that variable just depends on how large the size is, etc., of the underlying file itself. So if I'm a creator that's minting my first NFT, just some static image file, I'm going to be paying less than a penny, right, to actually upload, mint that, and list that for sale. Likewise, some of the other features, the ability for a creator to actually upload their own NFT and be assigned a provable rareness score relative to all other NFTs on the platform, as well as collaborative platforms, as well as effectively a reverse image search on the entire internet, and then have that relative rareness score minted on their NFT, provides obviously a level of both certainness to the creator, but also to the collector, so that they know what they're buying is provably rare, right? We've seen a lot of issues recently in the space, whether that's from fraud, outright scam, etc. And it was really important from us, from day one, to solve upon this problem. And then lastly, I would say from kind of a pure storage perspective as well, having kind of that on-chain storage solution was really important for us from a kind of a creator and collector standpoint. I know when I acquire something, I have that digital asset file that's tightly coupled with the NFT itself. It's not necessarily a token ID with potentially a hyperlink that's relying upon some sort of centralized server or IPFS pinning, right? I have that actual digital asset file on chain coupled with the NFT. So yeah, that's kind of I would say a rundown on how we really are built for those three broader audiences, builders, creators, collectors.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seems like you guys are hitting a lot of different angles by doing that. You have a lot of things that you're including already.
Yep.
And I assume you guys are pretty early on too, correct?
I'd say, look, a lot of this infrastructure took took a lot of time to build.
Sure.
So when we got founded in 2018, it really took time to build out the roadmap for everything, and then from there we've just been tackling and achieving everything. Our CEO and founder is, I would say, a beast. Just kind of cranks out and grinds through everything. Our CTO is incredible as well. So we're fortunate to have, I would say, kind of the two leaders of the team just grinding on a day-to-day basis, heads down, and being able to just kind of knock out these tasks consistently. And from there, we've been able to launch our mainnet earlier this year, and we've actually just gone out and have been starting to procure more different partnerships, getting people to actually leverage our infrastructure, and then simultaneously decided to actually build out our own marketplace on top of Pastel, which will be coming out imminently in the following weeks.
Got it. And yeah, that's really important. Having a good team and everything, especially in this space where anything can happen, crazy ups and crazy downs. It's good to have a little bit of stability and
Yeah,
a good lead for a project.
for sure.
How do you guys feel you stack up from a technical standpoint to like OpenSea or Rarible or Nifty Gateway? And then do you guys have a plan to start really onboarding more people to grow it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I would say what's important about our team is that it's very, very technical, in the sense of everyone that's part of the team has what I would say very, very, it's full stack, generally speaking. There's a lot of low level understanding, which is very, very critical for the type of infrastructure we're building. We're not necessarily just a direct marketplace on top of a smart contract platform that can be, written, deployed in JavaScript, and with a couple APIs, integrate with the existing backend of some other chain, right? Ours is more than anything, very much so, from the ground up, very, very hands-on, and requires a lot of different kind of custom pieces of coding and tooling, right? And so with that in mind, it's required us to kind of procure and build out what I would say a very, very technical team. And I'd say one thing more than anything is we've focused first on technology rather than potentially the go-to-market strategy and just the broader marketing. To us, it was important to have something that was obviously in place, usable, built, and ready to actually just kind of roll out and deploy. And so that's generally speaking, how I would say our tech kind of just broadly speaking, stands.
Got it. I also saw on the website that you guys strive to be a more green platform or to do like green NFTs.
Mhm.
Like, how do you guys feel you contribute to being like a green platform or a carbon neutral platform, or what's the goal?
Absolutely. Obviously, we've seen a lot that's gone into the space. It's garnered a lot of media attention. In full disclosure, we're actually built on a proof of work system,
Hmm.
right? That's the foundation of the underlying network, and then the layer of supernodes above that that provide for validation, registration, activation, and whatnot, as well as governance, are kind of a proof of stake aspect of the system as well, in some respect. But the core proof of work aspect, we thought it was important for us to kind of offset some of the carbon impact, and so. The way it works is, when a user registers an NFT on the platform, they're able to opt in and actually have that registration fee or a component of it sent back to a nonprofit that plants trees. And so that's been our direct way of impacting, obviously, carbon offsets.
Okay, cool. Why proof of work? Why not use something like proof of stake or a different validation method? Or is there an actual benefit to going through proof of work?
Look, I think there's been a lot of interesting progress in the proof of space or proof of stake and validation spaces recently.
Hmm.
When we actually launched the platform, and still to this day we have this opinion that obviously proof of work has the greatest track record, the strongest rock solid foundation of being and also being the most cryptographically secure. And generally speaking, the way that our blockchain actually works is it leverages the intrinsic aspects of the UTXO model, to create a actual ticketing system, which kind of resembles that of kind of a smart contract system, which we have found to be a lot more efficient in the use case of NFTs itself and all of the actual underlying metadata that we're storing. But you mentioned validation as well. That does happen at the supernode level, and that is actually where the quote unquote collateralized stake component does come into play. Users have to stake 5 million PSL, operate a dedicated client, and that dedicated client provides for validation, storage, etc. So that aspect of the system, I think, does inherently actually provide for a more efficient use of the underlying protocol. Consensus can still happen at the core blockchain level. That is a proof of work model, but a lot of those kind of incremental features that might be more carbon intensive are actually being done in a more efficient manner with validating nodes.
Got it. Do you think there's anything in particular that could be done with proof of work to make it more better for the environment or to make it more green? Just thoughts off the top of your head, or if you've ever thought it really like thought about it deeply.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, there's a lot of organizations out there that are actively in terms of attempting to solve upon a lot of those problems, whether it's mining pools or just mining organizations in general. And so part of our thought process has been to try to contribute to those groups and that just general kind of mind share as well, and help solve upon those problems.
Cool, cool. One more question, then we'll go ahead and wrap up. What's the going into the or finishing up the year, going into next year? What is your guys' roadmap, or what's your plan to take Pastel to like the next level, or to, the next steps you want it to take?
Absolutely, absolutely. So look, first and foremost, we have a few things in the backlog. We have a handful of our core protocols, namely our near duplicate NFT detection protocol, and our storage layer protocol as well. And so just continuing to open up those two underlying protocols to the broader ecosystem, getting players to build upon those, and then from there, really working on launching our dedicated marketplace, which will be out imminently in the next few weeks, and then just obviously from there continuing that aspect of what we view as opening ourselves up to interoperability, other blockchains, and whatnot, and whether that's through unwrapping of NFTs on Ethereum, all the way to actually having intrinsic storage being tightly coupled between two chains. So it's pretty exciting in terms of what we have in the backlog, and every day is a new opportunity to solve a new challenge and basically just build upon the prior day. So yeah, definitely excited for what the rest of the year has, but that's kind of what we're focused on at the moment.
Got it. Do you guys have a place you want people to go to learn more, like the website? Do you guys also have like a Discord or Telegram where people can jump in and chat and learn more?
Yeah, definitely follow us on Twitter, and then we have a
Okay.
Telegram which we're pretty active in as well. So yeah, you can just go Twitter at Pastel Network, and then if you go to our website pastel.network as well, we have obviously a lot of information on what we're up to, as well as the rest of our channels and links thereof.
Perfect. Perfect. Anthony, thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast today. Really appreciate it. Explaining what Pastel is, what you guys are doing, what the goal is, and very, very interesting. I'm gonna have to dive into it myself and check it out and see if I can build something at some point. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for elaborating.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. See you in the future.